REIS just says, get out of my way, I'm coming through. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, nothing can stand in his way. He is your champion, and he was unstoppable in
the only player who has won a regional championship every single season. REIS2OCCASION is one of the greatest battlers Pokemon Go has seen, and in this video I'm going to zoom in on what exactly makes him so good at this game. First, we look at how he started. Pokemon Go joined the official Play Pokemon competitive circuit called the Championship Series in the 2022 season. Before this, in-person tournaments were held by an unofficial grassroots organization called Sylph, but they shifted to fully remote when COVID broke out. So, for many new players, in-person tournaments were entirely new. It didn't take much to convince REIS to pursue success in the official Championship Series in 2022. He attended every event in North America. At the last regional championship of that first season, he struck gold for the first time, placing first in Milwaukee. In the grand finals, he defeated Doombug 97. This was the very first clash of many to come.
Yes, do we get a boost? We do not get a boost. Here comes REIS2OCCASION throwing this Ice Beam. Is this Ice Beam enough? You see REIS already getting out of his feet, getting excited. This is REIS2OCCASION in the grand finals in a rematch of Game 5. REIS2OCCASION rises to the occasion and takes the grand championship here.
The
2022 season ended with a top 10 world performance for REIS. The 2023 season was going to be even bigger though. He opened with a top 3 performance at Arlington. 2 tournaments later, REIS again obtained another gold medal. The championship in Knoxville took place during the Global Home Tour, but REIS showed he loves PvP more than catching Pokemon. The medals from the regionals are cool, but what about the trophies that you can win at the international or world championships? REIS competed again at the North American International Championship, and he fought his way through a gauntlet of top battlers all the way to the grand finals, where he lost by literally a turn to another top battler, Wadash. So close to another first place. But a second place trophy at the biggest event in North America is an unbelievable achievement nonetheless. But from here on, the journey becomes difficult for REIS. The World Championships in Yokohama, Japan, did not turn out the way he expected it to, as he was knocked out after 4 rounds. We wouldn't see REIS have success for the entire 2024 season up until the very last regional championship in North America, in Los Angeles.
Still have to get through this Skarmory though. Will you get fast attack down? Do you have enough HP to take out not only this Annihilate? No! Here comes the Night Slash. Will this be enough to knock out the Skarmory?
And this might be it, Jim. This is a Shady Equation's last Pokemon. Didn't even see the Gligar, and it looks like REIS is able to take this series 3-0.
3-0 sweep. REIS2OCCASION is your 2024 Los Angeles Regional Champion.
Winning in Los Angeles meant that REIS retained his unique record of winning a regional championship every season, but he was unable to translate this success in the larger tournaments. His 2024 NAIC run ended quickly after 5 rounds. His Worlds run looked promising as he made it to day 2, but then the C2U went on a 17-win streak and REIS was one of his victims. Now we are halfway to the 2025 season. After an underwhelming run at the Latin American International Championship in Sao Paulo, REIS competed in San Antonio, Texas. It looked promising as he defeated once again his rival and reigning San Antonio champion Doombug. But in the grand finals, the West Coast King Elite punished a flaw in the team of REIS2OCCASION. The Shadow Marowak was way too much for REIS to handle, and Elite took the gold medal here. The next tournament REIS would attend was Vancouver. The meta here is a unique one. New Pokemon and movesets are only allowed after the Tuesday of the week of release. That meant that Pokemon could use buffed attacks if they already had access to it, but Pokemon were not allowed to use their brand new fast and charged attacks yet. How does one prepare for a tournament like this? Being good at Pokemon Go PvP isn't just a given. REIS has come this far by developing his understanding of the game, the team structures, and the way his opponents think. The key to making a team work is understanding the course and composition of it. When you see a content creator use a team, your first question should be why are they using this and how does it work? This is my definition of a team composition. A team has a lead, safe switch and closer. The safe switch is used in case the lead is not optimal. This should be a Pokemon that has a polarizing matchup with the opposing lead, so it forces your opponent to either stay in a chip or they have to switch out. This would give you an energy elite, and ideally, the save switch would also draw out a Pokemon that counters your closer. The closer doesn't need to be a Pokemon with a very high attack stat per se, but should be a Pokemon that may be able to carry the battle in case both the lead and the save switch are answered. Here's an example from REIS. He leads his Dugong into Low Kicks, which has access to the Super Effective Drill Blaze. He swaps into Drapion. This forces his opponent to swap out quickly, or they would take an Aqua Tail that deals about 40% damage. The Drapion is answered by the Diggersby, but if you look at the backline, REIS brought Steelix. The Drapion successfully baited out the Diggersby, so Steelix in the back is free to tackle Azumarill and Low Kicks later. Even though the lead and save swap are not in REIS' favor, he is able to find a strategy that allows him to come back and pull out the victory. Cool, now you've learned the composition of your team. But if you really want to step up your game, you need to realize the same structure also goes for your opponent. The better your understanding, the better you can read or predict what your opponent has in the back. This goes for both the Go Battle League and the Show 6 formats. A battler like REIS uses the resources available to extend his game knowledge. At this moment, there's no in-game guide to PvP and even energy values cannot be found. Somehow, you need to know what meta you're competing in and also learn the matchup played in them. Luckily, there are a few resources that we can use. PvPoke brings out a ranking of the eligible Pokemon for a format in the Go Battle League, and based off this, you can expect what to face. Pair this with your team composition knowledge and you could potentially tell by the lead of a team what the backline is going to look like. Another important feature this website provides is running simulations. A lot of top battlers look up matchups between specific Pokemon, their stats and who wins charge attack priority. Some of us do this even mid-battle, not during a tournament. And we use this especially after a moveset update or when trying out new teams. As for the Championship Series, a usage graphic is shown on every broadcast on the official channel. If the meta you're competing in is in the same one as on the broadcast, then you can use this usage to find out what the meta is or to consider your options to tackle it. The new strategy amongst top battlers is to look up the stats and previously used teams of an opponent they have in the bracket. With the help of JGen11, Dragoviz provides a database of player achievements in both the Go Battle League and the Championship Series. Of course, I also provide my own resources in practice tournaments and their usage, and the Go Battle League team's graphics that you may often find in the videos of REIS2OCCASION as well. The next step is that you're unlikely to achieve greatness by yourself. I'm not talking about anything campfire or community ambassador related, I'm talking about finding a PvP community. Playing the Go Battle League as your sole format on your own will only get you so far, and only very few will make it high on the leaderboard. The battlers with the most success are those who exchange their ideas with others and let others inspire them. That's why we see the same names and the names that we know within the community on top the whole time. REIS used to play in Sylph and reached the legend rank there as well. Sylph was played in the Show 6 format and usually in a restricted meta. They came with an idea for a team format later, known as Factions. REIS joined various teams, from Mazer HQ to Stadium Elite and finally now at Legends United. He surrounded himself with top battlers and even grew to the role of captain of his Gym Breakers team. Gym Breakers? What's that? It's one of the many grassroots team formats that we have in the PvP community. Battle Frontier and Gym Breakers are arguably the biggest team formats after Sylph Factions disbanded, and probably your best chances at finding a team to join. I believe that surrounding yourself with equally passionate battlers will help you improve as a battler. For Spanish-speaking battlers, there's a variety of team formats in Latin America too, such as Arena, Legendaria, Liga Andina, Liga Ferica, and more. Finally, after figuring out the team you want to use, it is time to practice and learn the matchups with it. PvPoke can help you with all the theoretical simulations, but you'll find that actually battling will help a lot. REIS practiced with his teammates, with Homesize Henry and some of his friends over in LATAM. They were having a tournament in Fortaleza, Brazil during that same weekend, so they wouldn't get in each other's crosshair and help each other get better. It benefited both parties. In fact, I believe it was no coincidence that both Vancouver and Fortaleza were won by the same team. Approximately 5 hours before REIS2OCCASION, Lindos Corlage won the Fortaleza Regional Championship with the same 6 Pokémon. What actually happened was that many competitors in Brazil were considering the recently buffed off-meta Pokémon, such as Golisopod, Fortress and Steelix. Corlage was convinced by Lindos João Victor that Steelix was the way, and Lindos trainer Steinar told him that Golisopod would be a good call for this meta. He discussed the team with Paulinho Tat and Lindos Ario, and ended up using the draft that he ultimately won the tournament with. I've only spoken to Corlage about how he came up with it, and REIS said he was inspired by LATAM players. But this could have been the very circle that inspired REIS to use this team. Teammates helped each other with their line of 6, and friends inspiring each other to become better and increase their odds at winning a championship. With the team and practice settled, REIS is ready for action. In this video and chapter, I want to show how REIS exerts his matchup knowledge and pressures his opponents with his team composition advantages. He makes a solid run through day 1, but falls to Dapper Discs on day 2. It's okay, you have 2 lives in double elimination. You can lose once on the winner side of the bracket, and then you will continue on the loser side. He manages to win 2 more matchups to make it to top 3, where he would face off against none other than his rival. Doonbug is one of the best players in the world and has built a creative team that includes a Jellicent and Fortress. A few days before the tournament, he had Pangoro instead of Guzzlord, and man, did he wish he had it for this matchup right here. The Steelix from REIS can defeat everything on the team of Doonbug. REIS knows Doonbug has to find a creative way to deal with Steelix. Dugong has access to the super effective Duron and deals neutral Ice Shard damage. Guzzlord resists the Thunder Fangs from Steelix, and Drapion has access to the fast-pacing super effective Aqua Tail. Jellicent has access to Surf, but is dangerous to use when a Drapion for REIS2OCCASION may come out too. Let's see how REIS utilizes his team composition advantage. In game 1, he leads Jump Love into Dugong. Terrible! REIS swaps into the Shadow Drapion. Here's 3 reasons why the Shadow Drapion is an excellent safe switch in this composition for REIS against the team of Doonbug. It's safe. The Poison and Dark typing has only one weakness, Ground. But there are no ground types however on the team of Doonbug. Guzzlord is the only answer, and REIS leads strong against it, so the Drapion would have an energy advantage and could get real annoying for the Guzzlord. It can set up the team. If REIS would draw out the Guzzlord, his Jumpluff could farm it down afterwards and unleash a hard-hitting acrobatics on Dugong. Plus, Steelix wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. It can stall the clock. If Doonbug can't answer the Drapion safe switch first, he will likely try to weaken it with an Ice Wind or Duron. Drapion can launch a crunch before that, so it will stall the clock by approximately 30 seconds, which opens up the options for REIS. Do note that Shadow Drapion is not exactly an answer to Dugong, but with shields up it can have a fine matchup simply because its pace is so fast to hard-hitting crunches. REIS decides to use a Protect Shield on the Shadow Drapion. An excellent choice at first sight, because the Shadow Jumpluff and Shadow Steelix are much bulkier. They may not require the shield as much, and Drapion can put in a lot of work. Doonbug brings in the Shadow Jumpluff to soak up damage. He knows REIS will always bring the Steelix, so he may as well get rid of it. This is where REIS starts taking the advantage of his team composition. The Drapion safe switch has led Doonbug to switch out, and now his timer is not up when the Steelix from REIS comes in. This allows Steelix to farm up a ton of energy, which will be useful against both the Dugong and Shadow Drapion from Doonbug. Doonbug doesn't like this farm down from the Steelix. While switch advantage may be very important here, Doonbug knows that Steelix will steamroll his team if it can get too many Breaking Strike debuffs off onto the Drapion. REIS swaps the Jumpluff into the Drapion so it can avoid the Dugong as long as Doonbug is stuck in this matchup. Even with REIS slipping and losing the energy on his Jumpluff after a quick snipe from Doonbug, Steelix is impossible to overcome now with Dugong, Drapion and Jumpluff having too little health. REIS takes game number 1. What looked like a terrible lead to come out of, the Shadow Drapion safe switch from REIS initiated a sequence of swaps and lowering the health of the Pokemon of Doonbug one by one, to ultimately set up the Shadow Steelix. Doonbug ended up having 2 shields for a Pokemon that hardly deals any charge stick damage, and REIS managed to defeat his rival by 3-1 and advance to the Grand Finals. This was the 6th time in total REIS had made it here to the Grand Finals. It was the first time for his opponent, and Heidonis Actual was going to have a tough matchup here. Just like Doonbug, Heidonis had a rough composition against REIS. The Drapion, Dugong, Chargebug and Azumarill are not great against the Steelix, and the Dugong, Shadow Merik and Shadow Dusclops don't want to see the Golisopod. On top of that, the Gastrodon from REIS is completely unchecked. In this set, we will analyze an error in line building from Heidonis and a very simple strategy from REIS. In game number 1, Heidonis either forgot about the Golisopod or decided to disrespect it entirely. Dugong can make the 0 shield scenario close and leave the Golisopod's attack debuff twice, but there's a flaw in this strategy. The problem is that the REIS has more polarizing and safe matchups in his favor, so switch advantage can be very important. Adonis thinks that the Marowak is free now that the Goliath spot is out of the way, but the Marowak would never find the alignment it wants in the back because REIS has switch advantage. REIS aligns his Drapion to the Shadow Dusclops, the Gastrodon to the Shadow Marowak, and easily close out the game. Adonis has to get back to the drawing board. The next game we analyze is Game 3. The strategy REIS uses here is a strategy used by many Go Battle League players. Win the lead and align in the back. This strategy works exceptionally well with polarizing picks that form a near unbreakable core, such as Bastiodon and Victory Bell. In this case, the Drapion and Dugong from REIS aren't as polarizing as his Steelix and Goliath spot could be, but they make a very fine core that can only be core broken by Annihilate or Steelix, and Adonis has neither of those on his team. What makes his strategy so good for REIS though, is that his Gastrodon in the lead can force switch advantage against everything but the Shadow Dusclops. At worst, he puts that in a farm down range where Drapion gets the energy for 1 or 2 Aqua Tail on a potential Shadow Marowak in the back. REIS faces off against an Azumarill lead, and Gastrodon wins all the even shield scenarios here. He knows the dimension of this matchup perfectly. The HP and defense of his Gastrodon are high enough to take the second Ice Beam from this Azumarill. We can tell by the expression that Adonis was not aware Gastrodon would hang on. Marowak's strength lies in its fast attack pressure, and Adonis heavily relies on investing shields into it. He's lucky there's no Goliath spot this time, but REIS has all the answers. Dugong comes in, Adonis sends in Dusclops, and it's answered by Drapion. Game, set, match.
Quickly, and I felt like this game was pretty much over as soon as REIS's Gastrodon hung on from the Ice Beam.
I think
Team strategies from REIS were just too strong here, because if Adonis did go for switch advantage, the Dugong with a shield advantage would likely just clean up both Dusclops and Marowak. This only shows that the battles are not just won on perfect plays, but team strategies and selection also have a huge impact on the outcome. REIS manages to overcome Adonis with a 6-0 sweep in the Grand Finals and takes the gold medal for the 4th time in his play Pokemon career, and thus continuing his unique status as the only competitor to have won a regional championship every season.
That's right, in what we can only describe as a David versus Goliath. Sometimes Goliath wins, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. REIS2OCCASION is your 2025 Vancouver Regional Pokemon Go champion. Congratulations, he has won a regional in 4 consecutive seasons.
It all started with one of his very first videos on YouTube about reaching rank 35 on the Go Battle League leaderboard, reaching a good amount of views. REIS made the most use out of his opportunity and gained momentum to become one of the most skilled battlers and content creators in the Pokemon Go PvP scene. He's won a regional championship every season, but one achievement is still missing: success on the World Championship stage. I hope this video about team strategy was helpful, and make sure to follow along with REIS' journey to the NAIC and the World Championships. I'll post the information in the description below. If you liked it, please give it a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
It's not easy, man, and sometimes it weighs on you, the pressure, like, oh, REIS still hasn't won a regional this season, and I don't think you can look at it as like regional win or failure, right? Because that's just, you're torturing yourself if that's how you look at it. But I think the great Billie Jean King said pressure is a privilege and champions adjust, and that's what I decided or tried to do today.